Had an ad with Aziz Ansari.
We're good now?
Yep.
Uh-oh. I'm going to eat this.
Welcome
Sorry,
back.
guys.
We had a little bit of a chip break. And what were we talking about? Did we have a...
What was the question?
Oh, so the question was...
So sorry about that.
It's kind of more along the lines of the fiction. Is there a metaphysical
Right.
connection between,
Right.
relics and the children? Are children bound to these
I mean,
things?
we're just getting the random event system up and running. I had some ideas while they were implementing it. We can talk about those a little bit later, but I think that we could do some sort of like arced events that are almost imprinted onto a character right when they're born. This is I had this idea. I haven't even talked to you since I had this idea.
All
This,
right.
this is live.
Lay it on me, bro.
Live
Live
designing
idea.
on the thing.
Yeah.
Where like when a hero is born, we don't even tell you, but we kind of imprint that like this person is special in some way, and then it gets uncovered, when they're 25 or 30 or whatever.
It's super easy to do with the system that we have because we
Yeah.
have triggered events. So we can have birth events are a thing. And then that could trigger or we do a dice roll to see if they're going to get a special positive or negative event.
And it
later
could
on.
even be like a vague thing where it's like, oh, the stars have aligned when this child was born. Like, we don't know what this means, but you might want to take care of this character. They're like, oh, it's like, and
Okay.
it could go good or bad for you in the future, and you could ignore it or you could embrace it, like whatever.
This character's going to be an asshole.
Yeah.
Forget about him.
So
And then you make it true by forgetting about him.
yeah, I mean, I think that there are ways for us to do that, sort of like put kind of fadey things into the system, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it really has to be. It really has to be tied into the relic system.
Right. Cool. So Rogue Token asks, these two questions all combine and they're kind of similar, but...
Is that like a token from a rogue that he would use like
He's
in
like,
an arcade, or is he like token, like a token?
Oh,
rogue?
it's token like arcade. Like,
Oh, okay,
Let's
okay.
just say this is a rogue who likes arcade games.
Okay.
I think that's the, yeah,
All right.
that's a good one.
Gotcha.
So he asks, Rogue Token asks, can I have a sword that lasts through the entire game? I know the answer to that, but I'll give you that. And then Solar Blitz, another one, asks a follow-up question, do relics need to be maintained in this game? What do you think?
Wait, what was the first
So the
question?
first one was, can I have a sword? Can it last through the entire game?
Absolutely.
Cool.
If you maintain that bloodline and you always have an heir to pass the sword down, you will have that sword the entire game.
And that's
Yes.
kind of the maintenance right now. Like if the bloodline ends, then the relics get destroyed. They can't be passed to another house, even if they're the same class. So, but there's
Right.
not a maintenance cost or any kind of weapon repairing system in there right
And
now.
it's another way to incentivize you to like want to establish bloodlines and then keep those going through the entire game. And losing them will be pretty devastating because you'll lose all the relics as well.
Sure. Okay, cool.
I need a haircut, Anthony.
I was going to say, John and I
Were
were
you-
talking about it earlier
you
too.
were?
It's like,
No
grab,
way.
bracket. No, we weren't.
Damn,
I'm just trying to make you feel more
that's
comfortable.
harsh.
So, ooh, I like this one. Gabriel Rebus _ asks, what about sieges? If you conquer another house, do you take their relics?
We're not really planning any like house-to-house combat. Like we really want to focus on like
Demons are the bad guys. That's
it's
it.
like the Chalice and the Ruler have like united all of these houses that maybe have hated each other in the past, but they're all united against like the demon threat. So you're
Right.
never actually going to be fighting other human characters.
There
Even
might
if
be
they
some
were
other
in-
ways to get relics, like through a random event, or
Yep.
and maybe even by rebuilding. There's going to be some of these houses that are kind of destroyed houses that you're going to have to invest resources into to reclaim, and that could potentially be something that kicks off an event where you could get a new relic for a house or something. I don't know.
Yep, and part of that is like I don't know. I think the game is more interesting when it's asymmetric, when it's like it's like your abilities are much different from the enemies.
Yeah, you have to stay tuned for the expansion pack, Master Chalice Enemy Within. It's gonna be awesome.
Part D. Cool, very cool. Edsploration asks, could you have no one inherit a relic until later?
No.
I like that.
And really the thing there is that if you have no one to inherit a relic, that I think by definition means that was the last person of that bloodline to die, right?
Yeah,
like
but
that literally means you have no one left in the bloodline, so the relic's just destroyed. There's just no one to give it to. And then that means you'll never, like if it's the last Burnhelm that's holding all the relics and then they die, like you'll never have another burn helm again, so it doesn't even make sense for us to keep those around. Like, I think that they're just gone. They're gone forever. They're gone forever.
I like
Anthony.
it. I
avoid
like
that.
it. Consequences. Two love bees.
That's Cheese from the
bees.
forums.
Oh yeah.
Hey, man.
Hey, Cheese. What's up? So
How's Australia? I hope it's... What time is it there?
Probably like
Go to bed.
1400
Or did he just wake up?
They're what, 13
What did he
hours
say?
ahead of us? Do we should have gone and second about
Man, anyway, what's the question?
Yeah, cheese, and then he's laughing at us now. But so the question is, how are weapons fallen heroes reclaimed to become relics? Do you automatically get everything back from warriors who are lost in the battlefield, or is there like?
Yeah.
Cool.
Magic. Don't worry about it. I don't know. Like,
That's
if
a
you
good question.
wipe,
We'll have to see.
if you wipe, we're gonna let you hand those relics down. I will tell you right now. That is like
We'll throw you
that
a
is
bone.
way too harsh. Like,
Yeah, because part of the fiction is that like the demons kind of pop up, they corrupt an area, and then they're gone. So in the XCOM tradition of this idea that there's like a cleanup crew that comes in afterwards, like we could still have the cleanup crew
Totally.
come in and be like, oh, here's where Sir Brad fell, and
But I can have a
It's a
vision
little
of like
gross
that.
around here.
Totally blanking. The Braveheart, where like at the end of the battle, and those guys
Yeah.
just sitting there screaming, and like people are tending to like, or awful.
you're
be
trying to
terrible.
patch
Thanks
people
for-
up or
yeah.
take rings off the fingers of
Put
the ones
that,
that can't be
put
patched
that in
up.
my head. Awesome. Yeah, look at that.
Put that in your
But,
imagination
yeah.
box, Brad. We're
And
good.
we'll see. And a lot of these are kind of our guesses at what we think will be a good starting point. And if it's
Yep.
just, if relics are really powerful and that just seems lame, then we can figure it out. I mean, the one thing I like the idea of a character falling and then you having to go over physically with another character to pick up his weapon, so that there's something you have to do tactically where you have this other square space you need to kind of invade. But I mean, that's another system on top of another system. And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
We'll see.
All right, cool. So just a couple more questions here. Our Toolinger asks, are there any relics that affect gameplay outside of combat? Non-combat related buffs, for lack of a better word.
I mean, we've been thinking that they are just weapons and some mostly tactical impacting. That's tactical impacting. That's pretty sweet. But we talked about earlier, like they could gain traits or buffs that actually help out on the strategy layer, like one that makes you smarter and you produce more gold.
increasing
and-
your research rate.
Yep,
Or
it's
your,
like a Midas something.
Midas finger.
Midas claw. Midas flinger. Flinging thing, right?
Yeah,
Like that.
that's exactly what I was
Get it out there.
Um,
It's a caver.
That'd be sweet.
Midas caver.
So last one, how do relics mesh with research? Is a relic upgraded from bronze to iron to mithril, for example?
No, so we have talked about that and we decided that we're gonna give it a shot where that is just not a thing.
Or
Like,
really lean into the relic progression itself as
yeah,
being the way that you upgrade those.
That's the most critical part, is that you really need to be like upgrading these weapons through relic find and leveling them up. And there won't be like a kind of like technology research of like better stuff. All the tech will be focused on the demon stuff. So weapons will be just demon stuff is what we're looking at for upgrades in terms of tech. But then you'll also have armor, like new armor research and new item research. Like those will totally be on the table. But in terms of weapons, we want to keep it where it's like all about relics, and they're just so much more powerful than anything else you could be. I don't know.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You buy that?
I'm
All right, cool.
in to win it, my friend.
It's a way to keep them very separate, which I really like, and we'll see how it works out.
Cool. So last one is from Massive King. This one is, any thoughts about, instead of a % chance for a fancy attack or a crit, there instead be a cooldown, kind of like, I really need your help right now, Grandpa, and like the cooldown meter is cooled
interesting.
down.
Could be like an ability or something that you kind of like
So I guess the general,
summon it.
so the general question is like, what were you guys, obviously you talked about cooldowns a lot before versus % chance. What was your reasoning for going with what you did?
I do. So one is that it contextualizes critical hits, which is super sweet.
And getting that clutch critical hit, I think, feels pretty great. And we're not also like, this isn't coinciding with like a critical miss thing either. So it's something that's just giving you that chance to do something great.
I think it also makes it seem more random, like whether or not your ancestors are able to help you or not. It's like they'd like to help you all the time, but they can only help you every once in a while, and you don't really know when that's going to be. I think it's actually good to keep it random. I could see it the other way, but then I think then it's sort of just like a skill, sort of like just another skill on your bar that you can count on, right? It's just another thing that's like under your control, and I think it's cool to have some amount of randomization in there. Because if it were just made to be an ability, then that really means that there's not a lot of randomness going on. Or at least there's slightly less randomness going on. And then what you've also done is you've just cluttered your skill bar up a little bit because you have to have the Pray to Grandpa as an ability. I don't think it's a bad idea by any stretch, but I think that it lets us focus on, and then also every character that has a relic would have the Pray to Grandpa skill.
Right.
And that would just be like another thing on the bar. So I just think that we can keep it a little bit more streamlined and lean into the randomness, and it's going to be good.
Make you feel really thankful when it happens too, right?
Yeah.
If you get 3 grandpa attacks in a row to take down this really big demon and you're like, oh yes. Praise
I do
the
love
sun.
those moments, yeah.
Praise the sun.
And the converse of that is like when you're like, I've easily got this guy, and it's like, I missed? What are you talking about? But that's all of them for that. So do you want to show the build?
Yeah. Well, I want to get Dan and...
Dan said that he had to go.
No!
Yeah.
Okay, what about Chad?
Chad's around.
Can we summon a Chad?
Chad.
Wouldn't that be sweet if we can just like have a cloud of smoke and Chad appears?
Wiggle your nose.
You want to summon a lot of things. You want to like...
Just have Chad.
You want a shotgun and grenade
show
things?
up here. Okay, I think this is gonna work. Okay, cool. Hey, so this is cool.
What is that? Hold on.
This is the first time. Crop it. Okay.
Cropping it like it's
Paul's
hot.
gonna make it.
Cropping it like it's hot.
Paul's gonna make it look better.
And I'm gonna take this a little more hip, like I just did.
Yeah, that
cropping
was
it like
really
it's
good.
hot.
No, it's good.
It's on my
Look at
next
this,
album,
man.
Anthony.
Paul Levering, 2-Player Productions, bringing you this awesome thing. So this is the first time that we've actually showed people our like strategy layer mockup, and this is the first time that the game has been playable. That's in quotes. You can't see the air quotes that I'm putting on there, but it is playable. And I think that Chad is joining us.
Hey, buddy.
Chad, we have a seat for you
Chad.
right over here, and a microphone. So, hey everybody, welcome lead programmer Chad Dawson to the mix. He's going to be speaking about programming. What do you think? Also, Chad, there's salsa here. I made salsa.
Yeah.
And you
I
should
got
totally...
some coffee.
Coffee and salsa.
Is
that's not
delicious.
really that's not really a thing.
Smells good though.
Sorry.
Onions.
There's a lot of onions in it. Onions are great. Okay, so hey, let's dive into this thing. So
Boom.
this thing is running.
This
And
is
that's
strategy map.
Yeah, this is a strategy layer.
Dan's been working on it a bit. We kind of split it up a little bit where he's focused on strategy and I'm kind of staying on the tactics side. And
Dan recently joined the team. He just did Costume Quest for iOS, which just came out yesterday.
Yeah, that just came out.
It's awesome. So get your Halloween on. Sorry, we'll plug in there.
That's super
I was
awesome.
playing it earlier today. It was awesome.
So so this is just like a rough mock-up. We're just trying to get like all the things kind of in place. This was Jeff's initial take on what the strategy map could look like. And if you've seen Derek, like this was before we did a lot of like conceptual exploration of what that could look like, and he was just kind of taking a stab at it. It looks quite a bit different, but it definitely serves the job. You can also see these keeps that he's modeled around here as just placeholders. They kind of look like tents.
you could click on one. Look out.
I'm getting there. And then we have the capital city, which is this big kind of brutal-looking structure in the middle. So when you click on one of these keeps, it will zoom in and super janky cutscene. Super janky cutscenes all around.
Hello.
But, and so what you're seeing is this female character is the regent who's been retired, and so this is her house. So if this is a Swiss helm, then this is a Swiss helm house.
Or Burnhelm even.
Or a Burnhelm. I'm sorry, this is a Burnhelm house.
You were doing so good.
I know I was. Damn. And then this
buddy.
character is actually the partner that you've married into the house. And so these characters are married and they're having children. And
What's his name?
I don't know who that is.
Come on.
That's Richard.
Richard. I like
Yeah,
Richard. Okay.
Richard Hornblower.
Richard Hornblower.
Is that an actual person? Richard
Sure.
Hornblower.
I'm going to Google that.
I feel like it is. Anyway, there will be a bunch of UI here. and they won't be just in a cube. This will be actually the backdrop of like what their keep looks like. And if you remember, Derek did a bunch of exploration of these like brutalist architecture for all the keeps, and so the idea is to have a slightly different set based on each keep, so they sort of feel like their own place. Anyway, you'll have a bunch of UI here telling you about the regent and the partner, and the children that are being trained here, and all that stuff. And what other information are you seeing here? That's about it, right?
Yeah, and this is where
awesome.
you know, if you only had a regent, you could then click to marry
Right.
somebody to them, or swap them, unretire them, bring them out of retirement,
Yeah.
and put somebody else in.
I was
That
thinking
kind of thing.
if one of those guys had a relic sword, maybe you'd see that relic.
Oh yeah,
sword,
that came up
like
today
on the mantle in the background.
in the relic meeting.
Look at that guy. Doesn't have.
Yeah, look at this guy. This is like an old dude and he's bald, and that's totally sweet.
He's the whistleblower.
Is that you can see? You might see their like relic weapons on the mantle or like leaning against the chair or whatever in a cool way. I think there's a lot of cool things that we can do with that. It's super cool. You can also go to the capital city. And like, hey,
That's
Tom.
so this is hilarious because Jeff did this while all his stuff was just up in the air.
This is like a month ago.
He just busts this out. You know, it takes him like 2 minutes to set up these cutscenes, and this was when the advisor was maybe not going to be the chalice. So
Jeff chimed on the chat. Yeah, this is all placeholder.
yeah, this is all placeholder. But it's so cool to show people this because it's like this is how video games get made. Like they are terrible and placeholder and shitty for a long time.
We're getting a lot of mega janks.
And then they're all, oh dude, this is mega jank right here. You
Jeff
know it.
saying everything was made in a day.
And so
Yeah,
imagine this
he's
guy
hammering this
not
out.
being here. This is where you'll be able to come in and like talk to the chalice, or it'll talk to you and whatever, and it'll give you tips. You can also go to the research screen.
Hey, could that be the Hunchback of Chalice Dame?
Oh God, you're the worst. Did you just?
That was
did
pretty
somebody
good.
Say that in
No,
the
I can't.
chat?
That's
You
Anthony
said
Vaughn
it.
original.
Congratulations.
Wow. All right.
Just consider it,
I
guys.
love you.
Consider
All
before
I
you say
love you.
no.
I will.
Anthony, that's one.
So yeah, from here you'll be able. This is sort of like your main menu for the actual like capital management.
Go to your retinue.
Be able to go to your retinue, see all your heroes that are training in the capital,
your
ready to
current
go.
Squad selection.
Your what's the other thing? The
Research
The
in your-
research
in your current
system
squad
like
selection.
will be branched out of here. Cool. And then when you've made all your decisions and you're all set, you will be able to hit play. Look at this button down here. Here's a pro tip about video game development. If you put programmer art into a video game, the shittier the art, the faster it will get replaced by real art by the real artist.
Yeah, a new mouse pointer even.
Yeah, new mouse pointer. So this button, it's just the worst. It's just like a big green squishy. It sounds like it'll make like a squeaky noise when you click it. But yeah, so you click it, and now we're actually running the Epic timeline. So, and this was something that came from Brian, is that it will actually speed up over time, so that we can have like a cool kind of cool audio ramp up, and then boom!
What happened, Brad?
It's a demon attack.
Shit.
So this red thing right now represents a demon attack in this region. So it's like, this region that has this keep in it here. So again, the way that we think about the strategy map, and you know what? Maybe we could give a primer on this some other time, because we're kind of going along with this thing. But there will be 6
Whose
regions
fault is
is what we're
that,
shooting
Chad?
for. I know it's my fault. I like to talk. So this region that contains this keep is being invaded by the demons right here. And if you lose, the overall corruption level of that region will increase, and you'll be at higher risk of losing that region. But if you win, it will actually fight back some of the corruption in that area.
And we're talking about making that a bit more granular than like a win or lose. Like
Yep.
you could, if you wipe but you take out 75% of the demons, then it's not going to increase the corruption as much as if you fail completely,
Totally.
kind of thing.
So if I click on this, I will go into the deployment screen. So this is our placeholder for the deployment screen.
The Hornblower family.
And you'd be able to swap out all of these characters with different characters, change their equipment, do all that stuff. And then, I don't know what this guy, I think that this was back when we were talking about wizards. This dude was a wizard. And then, the idea is that they'll be at the top of the chalice,
Guy on
maybe.
the right's ready to go.
This guy's ready, yeah. Look at this woman.
Everyone's
badass.
saying no one. The guy on the furthest left looks like he's scheming. He's like,
This guy?
no,
Yeah.
furthest left. I think he's
Oh.
like, I'm gonna kill all these.
This is a
people.
woman.
This
is a woman.
We don't. Right. I knew that.
Okay.
I was testing you guys.
And then when you're ready to deploy, boom, you go, and bam, you're in the tactical map. And it's awesome. So now I think we have some
Hit
new.
tab. There you go.
What?
Okay, so a couple of new things here. on the tactical layer. So these would be the 5 heroes that you like deploy into a mission with. And the map is, we'll talk about the map in a minute.
They have some Arbalest
we have random,
stuff,
we have
which is
random
cool.
names and classes.
What?
It's
This
amazing.
is awesome.
So Jeff is messing around with some of our dynamic, what do we call that? If you can see this guy's armor, he just got this to work
the
like
simulation.
The
Yeah.
simulation on his armor. If you can see the floppy stuff on the Arbalest armor, and that was kind of like the ghillie suit stuff that we were looking at in some of those concepts for the Arbalest. And so he just got that to work. But
That's cool. It reads really
so
pretty
he's
well.
an Arbalest. His name is Levi Dubois. That's interesting. Sorry, my fingers were wrong on the keyboard. We also, another thing we're investigating is this projected light for the selection. As I select a different character,
It's your sigil.
that will be your family's crest, your sigil, which is a really cool way because the characters are kind of small. You know, this is probably the standard way you're going to be looking at them from this far out. And when you have them selected, you'll actually be able to see their house, which is pretty rad. So I think that's something we're going to work on. It's still a little programmer arty,
We
but
had to retire that flaming circle.
yeah, the flaming circle. I love the flaming circle.
We'll be back.
We'll have a flaming circle.
Well,
somewhere.
Brad, you just posted Panya's nice, good-looking flame and smoke on the
yeah.
blog. That was really cool.
Also, let's see, what else do we have here? When we turn the grid on,
So like green would cost you 1 action point, yellow here
and
would
yellow
cost you
would
2.
cost you 2. So you
We're
can
still
see,
working on the kind of how that gets filled out. Right now it's kind of a square pathing thing, but John and I are kind of working on some of the numbers for how that make that a little more rounded or a little bit more.
Design and programming in harmony, Massive Chalice.
That's in
Okay.
flex. You can
So,
show the sneak.
there-
It's kind of
Yeah, there's also been quite a bit of work on the skill system. Do you want to talk about that for a moment?
Yeah, so we set it up to be Lua based. The idea being that it's pretty quick and easy for a designer or programmer to go in and add a new skill. So the 3 skills you see at the bottom, dodge, sneak, and defend, are kind of 3 sample ones I put in, each with different rules. So if you look at dodge, it's a quick move that lets you go 1 tile. And these are just examples. I'm sure it'll be different once we get the characters fleshed out. But it's kind of just looking at how hard would it be to add a new skill in that lets you only move 1 tile or 3 tiles or something. So dodge was a quick test. It's just like your regular move, except for you only get to go 1 tile. Maybe you do that in reaction to something or, something like that.
Yeah, or it could be, like a 0 action point
right.
thing that has a cooldown. Like that would be another way to implement something like that.
Defend would be one that doesn't require any targeting. So you see it has both an OK and a cancel button. You don't really pick a tile or an enemy or anything. You just kind of go into that mode, which is sort of another kind of action. So I put that in as an example of just so we have one we can test that has no targeting mode. Sneak was kind of the most advanced one in yet so far. If you look at that one. It's a move that requires you to end next to an obstruction. So you see it's highlighted in green and yellow, the squares you can go to, and they're all kind of next to a rock or a tree or something. So that
So I
was
can
just a
sneak
few
all the
extra
way
lines
over
of
here.
Lua script to just kind of check to see if it's next to something. So these are just some test buttons for different skills you might have.
Yeah, super cool.
But hopefully, once we get a few more of these in, we don't have enemy attacks in quite yet. But once I get some of those, then John or Brad can go in and start adding some new ones and sort of just playing with it. I think this section of the game, this tactical battles, is something we're going to have to iterate on and play with a lot of stuff. Does it make sense for a guy to only move 3 or 6 tiles, or do we want him moving across the map 10 or 20 tiles? What are their attack ranges, and how do we calculate that? I think once we get the base characters in, that's something we're going to have to play with a lot to get a good feel. So
Yep.
our goal is to get that up and going pretty quickly as we come out of pre-production into something we can start playtesting.
And you have male and female names and classes
Right.
In here as well. So this is Holly Romero, it's John Romero's daughter. Amazing.
No, we seeded it mostly for Double Fine employee names, but I added extra female names because we don't have as many here. So.
Oh yeah, we really
Oh,
don't.
there's a Muir.
Wendy.
Yeah, look, it's Wendy Muir. Hello, awesome.
I think you know the name of your first daughter.
Oh, also we have, okay, so this map looks a little bit weird, and that's, it's all very much work in progress, but what they're doing, and I wish Andy were here to talk about this, but he is out. They've split this map into 4 quadrants. You can actually see them all meeting right here in the middle. And what they're doing is each of the artists is taking one quadrant of this map and they're kind of arting it up using different techniques. And then we're going to use this probably next week. I think all of the pieces will come together, and we'll be able to review all 4 parts of this and just kind of see like which techniques for building levels work the most. And you can compare them in real time next to each other. One really good example is like we call it the pants of the level, which is like just all the non-playable space. So if I bring up the grid again, you can see that out here, this is just what we call the pants. I don't know why we call it the pants.
Or the skirt.
It used to be a skirt,
Yeah.
but then Andy started calling it the pants, and it totally stuck because it just sounds funnier. I don't know.
Probably UK versus.
Yeah, it might be a UK thing. Yeah.
Pants.
So, outside here in the pants, it's a really obvious where this was. I think that this is Jeremy's. I'm not sure. I shouldn't speak out of turn. And it's like more decimated, more faceted and stuff. Versus this one, I feel like Jeff did this one, and it's like a little finer grain on the faceting. And so it's kind of cool that you can look and see how do these pants mix with the objects? How do these pants look compared to these pants? How do these pants look next to the objects? I don't know. There's just a lot of cool like comparison that you can do all in real time in the engine, and we can zero in on like exactly what techniques we should be using to make these levels, and it's kind of cool. I think. Oh, also the effects. I put some of the effects on the blog. Unfortunately, I think that the enemies it's like spawning multiple copies of the enemies.
They look a little weird.
So if I can just make one of them. So right now I'm just like opening a console and like, hopefully I spell everything right. Cool.
Go.
And that just like, we can just make one of them, we can see it. So Panya, effects artist at Double Fine, is working on the actual effects for some stuff, and he's messing around with like some distortion stuff and also trying to make the actual effects be a little bit more polygonal and like hard. So like these big like quadrilateral strips that are shooting out of the guy's head, it kind of goes in line with the faceted look for the entire game that we're looking at. So just trying to make sure that every piece of the art direction meshes and like works together and it all kind of cohesively makes sense. That's all. So there will be more of that in the next couple of weeks, but I think that's where we're at, and we're really close. I think we're really close to actually having.
Oh, there's another region that looked kind of cool.
I thought there
Is that
was.
still here?
I don't know if
Yeah.
this is the most
Tab through the guys.
recent version of it. Let's see. Because I
Keep
thought there was
tab.
another aspect of it. I think that something happened, and this is like an older version. We're talking about the one that has the
Yeah, it's after this one.
The ground.
Yeah, you're right. This does look cool.
Yeah, I think that it's just, and that's fine. We'll show it to you next time. It'll be really cool. Hopefully, we'll be able to focus more on the environment art next time and show it to you. And then, but we're getting really close. Oh, Jeff made this big, huge kind of destroyed tower as a way of testing obstructed characters and stuff, and just to get us thinking about like, are you going to need to rotate the camera to see all that stuff, or are we going to alpha it out? Are we going to draw outlines around the characters that are obstructed, things like that? It's just nice to have like a big fat object for us to kind of mess around with. Also, I think you can see that guy through this little window.
Pretty clever.
Yeah, look. Awesome. Okay, I think that is about it. So we'll totally take questions on. Unless there's something you want to talk about.
Space again to get out.
Oh, that's right. I can hit backspace, and then I've won the mission.
Start your
and
timer
I'm back.
going?
Oh, I forgot about this part. This part is awesome. So we'll start the timeline again. We have one extra feature that Dan just got working today. Boom. Okay, so this represents a random event. So the random event system. And this is like, the original concept for this was sort of like, it's pretty sweet when somebody gets dysentery in Oregon Trail. And then we sort of talked about how it could be like, there could actually be choices for those things. And then we talked a lot about FTL, how FTL handles random events.
And King of Dragon Pass.
And King of Dragon Pass as well, which was a game that we didn't even know about until
the Kickstarter.
Until we launched the Kickstarter, and a lot of backers were like, "Dude, you guys should play King of Dragon Pass," and they do a lot. Their whole game is
You've been
basically
playing it a bit, right?
this.
Joe?
Yeah.
Yeah, you like it.
So this is like a system where you'll be presented with some kind of random event. It's the random event
Dan
system.
said, "Don't click on the castle."
And you'll make then you'll make different choices based off of that, and then those will have randomized outcomes. So some examples that we like, I really like the oh, we found a weird cave. Like, who do you want to investigate it? Like, do you want to send any hero to investigate it? They might be gone for a while, and then you have to make the choice. Like, are you going to actually send someone, and who? Or are you just going to pass on it altogether? And if you do choose to send someone, like, they might be gone for 5 years, but then they come back and they found an amazing relic. They might never come back. They might come back, but they have like some horrible disease. And you're like, oh no, like, ugh, they'll
What
pass
happened in
on to
that
their kids.
cave?
Yeah, like
Come back with a child.
they might come back with a child. That's awesome. There's all sorts of like crazy things that could happen, and
Look
it's
what I
like,
found.
and it gives the game a lot of replayability. It gives the world a lot of flavor, and it's all text, which is hopefully cheap. And actually, like, you can't really see this, but this is all wired up where these are actually different buttons that you're clicking. And if you click choice 3, it's sending that back to Lua. So this system is like ready
super
for us.
powerful. Yeah.
It's ready for us to start messing around with it.
And the big thing about that is that we've shown the full circuit of a game cycle. Like
Yep.
that's a
Yep.
huge milestone
and
for
that's,
development.
That's
Like,
really fantastic
yeah.
that we do have the full loop of the game, even though like a lot of things are just placeholder right now. We have our like full loop, and you can actually sort of quote unquote play the video game,
Yeah.
which is kind of sweet. So yeah, it's for sure super exciting to like have the entire game loop like put together. And yeah, I think that these are just the two things that can happen on the timeline right now. Is either you get the random event, or you get a demon attack down here.
The demon attack thing is kind of cool though, because Dan was talking about how like it will kind of it'll like randomly pick an area and then make sure that it's not going to be too close to one of the keeps and kind of move around, and so it's actually like a valid location for it, which is neat.
And soon you'll be able to run over here
try
and
smack that
try
guy.
the F6.
try to F6. What does that do?
Maybe. It's showing in the lower left corner some of the work David Farrell, our
the line
graphics
of
programmer, is
sight.
doing on
Yeah.
on the visibility in the fog.
We'll be able to show that next time.
Yeah, that would be
time.
cool.
But it's super, super cool. He was showing it to me at his desk early. Is that this is a texture that represents the entire map, and those are kind of like the vision
Yeah.
spheres around each character.
Because you have those groups of characters in this map, right? Like
Right,
the four
because it's
groups, yeah,
spawning
and then
like
the one
it's
guy.
spawning like 20 guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, that's
But
cool.
you can see like so this is the upper left squad right now, and I'm moving them around.
On the tech side, the challenge is kind of taking our gameplay representation of the grid and who's in which grid and whether or not you've seen it or not, and converting it into something the graphics engine can use, which is that texture we're generating on the fly down there. And then you take that texture and you put it into all kind of shaders and graphic effects and rendering techniques. And you'll see next time.
Yeah,
Hopefully,
you'll see that
what
next
it's like
time
in
for
the game,
sure
yeah.
because it's almost working now.
It's cool. His initial stuff's pretty cool. I can't wait to see what comes out of it.
Sweet.
Okay, sweet.
Pretty awesome.
We're gonna take questions and then shut this thing down. But
Word.
thanks for joining us. What do you think? What do you think, chat? What do you think? What's going on?
Also, this has been good because like half of the team has been out with a cold at some point in the last 2 weeks. It's just like the plague has hit Double Fine.
Yeah.
I've been one of the vectors.
It's
I
unfortunate.
apologize.
It's unfortunate, but it happens.
Hey, here's
I'm
what
not ground
I think we
zero.
decided
Pushing
against
zero.
this. But Evan Knew It too asks, will the Lua be available for modders?
We haven't really talked about modability that much, but that's certainly true. With more stuff moved to Lua, it opens the door for that if we want to expose it. But
Yeah, it does. Most of the Lua events, though, they will point into a big string table because that's how we do like our localization.
Right.
So, I mean,
Yeah, that'll
we'd
be
have to
fucking
have
tough.
additional support for like being able to just type stuff in that you want to come up in the dialog box. But It's possible.
Sure.
Yeah.
We talked about it.
We've talked about it. What I'd really like is for people that have ideas for random events and stuff to, talk about them on the forums, and we can translate them into the game pretty easily, I think.
Once we have a better sense of what we're looking for that, like we talked about creating like a tone and style Bible for that, and then kind of getting you guys to help create a cool events that we can add in, and we'll be making them. You can help us make them, and that'd be a really neat way to do that. That'll come much later, though.
That's certainly something that Brad's still thinking about, is sort of what is the language tone, and like how do we get them written.
The overall tone for the game and what those events should be like and feel like is something that I'm not.
Is it your
super
advisor
sure on.
reading it to you, or is it some people coming and talking to you, or some other just kind of how it's written? The gameplay side, we think a lot of cool things like Somebody Born, but writing that into a cool narrative, I think, would be interesting to see what we come up with.
Cool. So let's. There's a few good ones in here. So let's get to these succinctly. So I can answer this one. Rogue Token asks, "Are we now officially at alpha?" And no, we are not.
No. We are not even technically into production.
That's right.
So.
We are officially in pre-production still.
Yeah.
We're making. I mean, the speed we're doing is great, but we're definitely still figuring stuff out, getting the lay of the land. Jusso Magna asks, have you considered the Rogue Legacy way of level design, in that there are quadrants you randomly mix together to make a map? Now, maybe you could talk about, Brad, just how do we make maps? What are they random at runtime? Are they random ahead of time? I think that's maybe we cover that.
We discussed that, but it just really seemed like so many 3D games have gone down the procedural level generation.
I saw what you did there, by the way, Brad.
What?
We discussed that instead of we talked about it.
Oh, did I just say that?
Formalized.
No. We talked about it.
Yeah,
but
that was part of the original plan too.
It was.
We investigated it.
It's just so. Just from a production standpoint, it seems so dangerous to go down the random level hole.
Sure.
Is that a thing? The random level hole?
Yeah, the quagmire.
And then also the
just
big
because-
chunks
yeah.
too. Felt like I think we're gonna get better results than if we did the big chunks, and it would take so much of our time to get totally randomized levels working with this kind of engine in this game.
Yep.
That we just think we'll have better results if
Yeah.
we can do some handcrafting. Now we have done some cool tool work to make it easier to make levels.
Yeah, I would love to show a demo of that, but unfortunately, these machines that are in our in our meeting rooms are not really set up to be development machines, so
Right.
they don't
What
have
did,
the full
what
tool
did we call the
suite.
tool?
Oh yeah. It's going to be called Hephaestus's Codpiece, and it's used for forging pieces of the
Man, you're
world.
making that official now.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's
The
a really
longest name
sweet
possible.
Maya tool.
Well, you can give it a nickname. I don't
Hef?
call you Anthony Vaughn.
Anthony William Vaughn.
Anthony William Vaughn all the time.
Yeah, but you know what, my
sometimes
name's-
I just call you Tony.
No one calls me Tony. But my name's a lot easier to say
Until
than
now.
Hephaestus is. It's a lot of
Hefty Codpi.
yeah. That's a good one.
It's fine. But maybe that we'll give a demo of that if people want to see it. We're gonna wrap it up.
Cool. Okay. All right. A couple more questions that are really, really good. This one last question I think is really good from Carboniferous. If the corruption gets far enough, do you automatically lose the keep, or is there a keep defense mission?
You will lose the entire region.
Boom,
That's
Brad.
it. It will be destroyed and you lose it. So try not to do that. I mean, we'll play with it and we'll see.
There will be keep defensive missions, but not exactly sure how they'll be kicked off yet.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool, guys, and we'll get other questions. We'll get to you. Ask them on the forums. We'll get to you next time, of course, and go to the blog.
What about this one? Are you guys having fun so far? Yes.
That's from
Heck
Joey
yes.
Betts. Joey
Are
Betts
you
is
kidding
coming.
me?
He's one of our
Joey
backers.
Betts. I love that
Coming
guy's
in.
name.
Yeah.
It sounds like a gangster.
Joey Betts.
Yes. It has been fun.
Awesome.
And cool stuff coming up too. Day of the Devs.
That's right. That'll be sweet.
Yes,
plug
Day of the
that.
Dev's coming November 2nd.
November
If you're
2nd,
in San Francisco, you can come to this awesome event at, where is it at?
It's in the mission at the something. It's on our website. Go to doublefine.com.
This thing,
Basically,
we throw this big party.
you got a
it's
couple
gonna
weeks to
game
figure it
developers
out.
Yeah,
go
it was
to
just
the
announced.
There's going to be a bunch of other indie developers there showing their games. It should be super cool.
it's
Just
free.
hang out.
And some
it's
people
free.
did ask us. Yeah,
It'd
it's
be
free.
cool.
Some people did ask us if Massive Chalice itself will be making a showing, and it won't be. Not this time around.
yeah,
we
no,
might be
not
there,
in
but the
this
game
form.
won't be playable there.
Brad might be there.
I will be hanging out there drinking probably.
I live
So if
3
you
blocks
wanna-
from where it is.
If you
You
want
might
to come
come where
down
it is.
there,
I'll be there.
that would be awesome. I would
Yeah.
love to meet you, and we can talk about the game. And yeah,
Maybe that art. I don't know. Are we still selling that art?
yeah. I don't know if we have any more copies of that, but we can
that cool
maybe
print?
get some more because they're cool. Yeah, we'll have merch there, and it should be super rad. Just hanging out.
Awesome. Until next time.
Yeah, I
Thanks
think
for
that's
joining
it.
us.
Thanks for joining us.
It was sweet. See you soon.
Sweet.
Stay massive.
Stay massive.
That's
I'm trying to become less massive.
so corny. Thanks, guys. See you.